So, like I say, we all do very much the same thing. I didn't want to come here tonight and do the same thing that we all do, and we all need to do that. We all get our horses broke, and what my goal is to try and take it a step further to where I connect the horse to the exercise. So as opposed to just making him do the exercise, I want to get him to where he thinks to stop. He relates to the stop like that horse relates to the pallet, the turnaround, the lead change, the side pass, the flag, the cow, collection. And one of the things that's helped me tremendously in the last few years is even a horse's state of mind. You can make a horse feel like a certain state of mind is like that pallet. That when they're bothered, if they get to that state of mind, that everything's okay. And two things I left out in the beginning with my foundation. This will probably happen a lot. But two things I believe in a foundation. One is working on a horse's natural instinct to flee or to survive. We fight that. That's what we fight the whole way through training. So my goal is to get that under control. And when I say under control, what I mean by that is expose it. Don't trap it in and hide it. Let it out. Let that horse's instinct. If he wants to run away, if he wants to flee, let him go search all that, and show him that if he'll just stop and think and search, that's a better way, you know. And that starts out the process of teaching one to learn. The second thing is getting a horse in a giving frame of mind. Teaching him to give to pressure, things like that. So I'm just going to do a couple of little things here on this little mare. I hope it's, you can kind of see what I'm saying or relate it back to that. But so I'm going to turn around here, and for years I'd use the control of the horse's neck, their head, their neck and shoulders, their rib cage, their hips to try and get that achieved. Now what I do is when I turn a horse around, I just sort of get them tangled up in a little knot until I feel them search, until I feel them try and find this little open door in here. So I'm not going to use a bunch of mechanics, and I'm not going to worry about a bunch of different body parts right now. It's pretty raw. I'm just going to sort of hold around here and push around a little bit with my outside leg. It's not pretty. But when I feel like she hunts this little hole down in here, I'm going to reward that. And that's going to be her release. Now it's the same thing with walking a circle. We all walk circles and do different things. Well, for years I relied on the control in this flexing exercise to do that. Well, now what I try and take it a step further. When I'm doing this, I'm feeling for that horse's thoughts. I'm riding a horse's thoughts. I'm feeling for this horse to think or get connected in here. It may only be a thought. It may only be just a brief thought, but I'm going to reward that. I'm going to hold her there till I feel her think about the centre of that circle, and then I'm going to reward her. So whereas before what I used to do is I'd take a hold of this rein, and when they give, good girl. Well, that may start that way in the beginning, but the next step past that is trying to get her to hold this shape. Try and get her to take this on board. Of course that goes both ways, and same thing with the turnaround. I'm just going to pull around here. One of the things I want to emphasise, I hope both these fillies certainly don't look terrible. This mare's had 60 days, but it's got to be ugly. It's all right for it not to be real pretty. I think a lot of us, no one wants it to look ugly. No one doesn't want it to look pretty, but the truth is at times it is that way. So the same thing goes with collection. I'm going to trot this mare along here, and I'm going to push her into the bridle a little bit. Now what I'm feeling for here, she was really soft then, everything was great. But talking about this pallet, what we've been talking about, the next step is when I'm pushing her into the bridle, I'm feeling for her to just carry herself. I'm feeling for her to take that on board, just to stride herself. And a good example of that is we've all done it when you're holding a horse and as soon as you give back to them, up goes their head. I want her just the baby steps of her starting to take that on board herself. Going to pull her around here a little bit. I'm going to work this flag on her here in a minute. Same thing there when I turn one on the fence. All I'm going to do, there's a certain turn that I'm feeling for. Well, I'm not going to try and control all her body and make that turn happen. I'm just going to keep turning her on the fence and keep putting her to work until she sinks down in there and finds that turn. And when she does, that's her reward. So she actually thinks the way that she gets to stop working, she actually thinks she's getting out of work by doing what I want her to do. So, I don't know if this is going to make sense to a lot of people, but it's all the same. It's all about connecting a horse to everything you do. If you can get them to take a hold of the exercise, it's real, Then when you send that horse to somebody else, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be you. So, I want to grab that horse then, please. Same thing goes with the side pass, early on with these babies. And it might be hard to understand that. It's a simple exercise, but when I side pass a baby, when I take my foot off, I want to feel them take another step or two on their own. That tells me a horse's eye and his ear is the window to his mind, along with his feet. So the flip side of that would be if I side pass this mare, if I side pass her, and the moment I take my foot off, boom, she stops. Well, that tells me that the only thing that was making her side pass was me. The moment I quit side passing, she stopped. So I want to take that a step further to where when I stop asking her, she takes another step or two on her own. That tells me that she's taken it on board, that it's become her idea. Another thing I do with everything, for years I had my horses running from the exercise. I thought it was good, I thought it was quick and, it felt light, but they were actually running from it. And that's something I'm always in tune with, or try to be in tune with. When I turn one around or when I do anything, when I'm done, the moment I put my hand down, if they just... then I know that I've bothered them, that I know they're actually running from it. When I'm done, I want them to be happy underneath me, right here. Now we're going to act like a baby.
We'd like to thank Francois for supplying us with this flag tonight, another one of our sponsors. Quick plug.
Right now, this mare is very joined up to the other horse.
Hayden, how long do you generally spend on those basics like you just talked about before you get them ready to work on the flag?
Oh, it's probably like this mare here's had about 60 days of riding. We started to ride at the 1st of February, and I think I've worked the flag on my wife. She writes it all down, and it's always deceiving. Sometimes you feel like you've been riding them forever, and when you look at it, but this will be the 13th time she's worked the flag. So I'm just going to pull her around here a little bit. Roll motor's running a bit.
How much time do you spend outside in the pasture on these colts as opposed to in the arena? Is there a big difference there that you like one way or the other?
Yeah, honestly, Mark, I don't know. There's no. It's all customised to the horse, you know, but I try and get out as much as I can. And even on days that I'm going to do some training, even if it's just a walk up the road at the end of the ride. Now this wasn't planned, but it'll be good because this mare's motor's running. Now if I was to confine this mare, if I was to try and restrain her, I'm just going to boil her up more and more and more and more. So I'm just going to let her do what she wants, and just keep redirecting her until she settles down a little bit. I'll just let us settle here for a little minute. This mare, when I start working this flag, the reason I brought this mare was this mare's she was scared of the flag, and she's one that, as I'm sure as a lot of us know, she felt very good the first few times because she's bright, and because she's frightened of the flag, she's quick to a stop, and she wants to blow around. I think it's really important, and what I'm going to try and do here today, and what I've been trying to build on is, if I don't get her to accept the flag, if I don't get her connected to it before I start waving her around with it, she'll be forever running from it. So, as good as it feels, what I'm going to try and do on her is get her to accept it, and then once she's accepted it and she's comfortable with it, then I'll worry about further working it. Maybe if we work this, will give us something to think about. So just like here now, she's acknowledged it. I'm just going to sit here for a little minute, and there she goes. I like to start following that flag. When they're worried, I'll come from somewhere and I'll travel with it. I'm not going to stop her here. I'm just going to let her walk by.